The gavel slams once, hard enough to shake the microphone. Order in the court, but no one's listening. Officer Mark Doyle leans over the witness stand, finger jabbing the air like a weapon. His voice cuts through the murmurs. She pulled a gun on me. She said she'd kill me. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. The judge frowns, one hand frozen mid-air. Cameras click. Reporters lean forward. At the defense table, Dr. Layla Johnson doesn't flinch. She sits perfectly still, a black woman in a white suit, calm, immaculate, impossible to read. Her hands rest lightly on her knees, palms open, as if she has nothing to hide. Doyle keeps shouting. People like her think they can threaten law enforcement and walk away. The judge warns. Officer Doyle, watch your tone. She's dangerous, he insists, voice cracking with adrenaline. I feared for my life. Layla's attorney whispers. Say something. Dr. Johnson. Enough there. Layla's eyes stay locked on the officer. Then, slowly, she speaks each word deliberate, almost surgical. Who decided that? The room stills. Even the judge pauses. Doyle blinks, thrown off balance. What? What? She repeats, softer but sharper. Who decided that you get to define fear? A murmur runs through the audience, uneasy laughter, quick shushing. The judge bangs the gavel again. Enough. Both parties will maintain decorum. Layla exhales. Steady as a heartbeat. Voiceover slips in. Low and cinematic. He saw a threat. The court saw a suspect. But the truth saw everything. Cut to Doyle's face, flushed, trembling with self-righteousness. He raises his hand as if to reenact the scene. She reached for her waistband, he says. I was sure she had a gun. Layla tilts her head, watching him perform his fear. 15 years in uniform, the voiceover continues. And one lie too many. Behind her, a juror scribbles notes. Someone whispers. She doesn't even look scared. Layla catches it, barely smiles. That's the point. Her white suit gleams under the fluorescent lights, spotless amid all the noise and accusation. It isn't vanity, it's strategy. White doesn't hide stains. It forces them to appear elsewhere. The judge clears his throat. Dr. Johnson, you will have your turn to speak. I'm sure I will, she answers, eyes never leaving Doyle. Silence hums for 3 long seconds. He thought she was another statistic, the voiceover says. He didn't know she was the architect of the evidence system that would end his career. Quick cut. The red light on a confiscated dashcam, still blinking from the evidence table. Back to Layla. Her fingers tap once on the armrest, measured, controlled. She knows exactly when to speak and when to let lies echo long enough to hang themselves. Every oath has a witness. The voiceover ends. Even if that witness is a camera. Disquired 9 now. 1 week earlier, South Haven, South Carolina. Pop. 62,000. Morning sunlight spills across a quiet street as Layla Johnson locks her townhouse door. White suit. Coffee in hand. No entourage. No badge on display. Just another black woman on her way to see her mother. She didn't look like a headline, the voiceover says. Not yet. Her car, silver sedan, registered under her own name, slides into traffic. Perfect speed. Every turn signaled. Her phone lights up. Mom, bring peach pie. Layla smiles. A small, normal life before the chaos. 8 miles outside the city. Blue lights flare in her rearview mirror. She signals, slows, pulls to the shoulder exactly by the book. The patrol car stops behind her. Officer Doyle steps out, hand already on his holster. Morning, officer. She greets calmly through the open window. License and registration. His tone is flat, but his eyes narrow. You know why I stopped you? I do. Nah, sir. You were weaving. Looked nervous. Got something in the car you shouldn't? Layla's voice remains steady. No, officer. Just coffee and a playlist. He smirks. Step out, please. She hesitates. Am I being detained? Step out. She unbuckles slowly, both hands visible. The dashcam's red light blinks, recording every move. He thought the light was nothing, the voiceover notes. He didn't know she built it. Outside, Doyle circles her car, tapping the frame like he owns it. What's in your purse? Wallet. ID. Lip gloss. You keep your weapon there too? She blinks. I don't own one. But his hand flies to his radio. Dispatch, possible firearm female driver reaching. I wasn't reaching for anything. Gun, he shouts. Gun, she's got a gun. Instant chaos. Tires screech, a second cruiser pulls in. Neighbors step onto porches. Layla freezes, palms up, heart pounding but voice clear. My hands are visible. You are being recorded. He rushes forward, slams her onto the hood. Handcuffs click. The metal burns her wrists. He rehearsed the lie before it ever left his mouth. The voiceover murmurs. Because fear makes a convenient story. Cut to police station. Layla sits behind bars, wrists red, expression unreadable. Across from her, Doyle types the report, confident strokes of the keyboard. Suspect resisted arrest. Reached for waistband. Possible firearm threat. He signs his name with pride. Meanwhile, Layla's lawyer, Amira Blake, arrives. Dr. Johnson, are you okay? They're saying you pulled a weapon. Layla exhales, calm even in bruises. Did they log my dash cam? Evidence locker, chain of custody sealed. Good, she says softly. Then it's over. Amira frowns. Over? He's pressing assault charges. Layla looks through the bars, eyes glinting. That's why it's over. His lie is now official on record. Under oath, soon enough. The more he talks, the better the footage sounds. Patience. The voiceover says. It's not silence. It's strategy. Cut to her white suit folded neatly on the evidence table, clean, pressed, untouched by chaos. She didn't need to raise her voice. The voiceover ends. The camera would do it for her. The courtroom feels colder today. Day 1 of the trial. Reporters line the back row, microphones glowing red. The judge adjusts his glasses. State of South Carolina versus Dr. Layla Johnson. Charge: assault on a police officer and resisting arrest. Okay. Eyes of very one. Layla sits at the defense table in her white suit, posture razor straight. Her lawyer, Amira Blake, whispers, he'll go first. Let him dig his own grave. The bailiff calls. Officer Mark Doyle. Please take the stand. He walks up. Uniform crisp. Confidence rehearsed. Places one hand on the Bible, one in the air. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. He didn't mean a word. The voiceover says. But the room believed him anyway. It's very wand. And with Ushins, Doyle looks straight at the jury. I initiated a routine stop. The driver appeared nervous. When I approached, she reached toward her waistband. I perceived an immediate threat. I feared for my life. Then what happened? The prosecutor prompts. I ordered her to show her hands. She refused. She said, "You'll regret this, pig." That's when I restrained her for officer's safety. Murmurs ripple through the jurors. A woman in the front row shakes her head slightly. Amira scribbles notes but doesn't interrupt. She leans toward Layla and whispers, "He's painting emotion, not evidence." Layla whispers back, "Exactly. For some people, fear is theater." The voiceover continues. And he's performing to a crowd that's always paid him in benefit of the doubt. The prosecutor smiles. Officer Doyle, would you say your response was reasonable? Absolutely. In 15 years, I've never fired a weapon unless threatened. My instincts save lives. And seventh, he pauses for effect. But that day, I truly thought she'd kill me. Cameras click again. The phrase "kill me" echoes across the room like a verdict. Layla lifts her pen, writes one line in her notebook. Instinct isn't evidence. Amira's hand tightens on the table. We can reveal the dashcam now, she murmurs. Layla shakes her head. Not yet. Let him finish lying. The prosecutor nods toward the judge. Your Honor, we rest the state's initial case. The judge turns. Defense may proceed. Even Pieldist is on. Amira stands, slow and deliberate. Officer Doyle, just a few questions. He shifts, jaw tense. You claim Dr. Johnson reached for her waistband? Yes, yet you found no weapon, correct? She could have discarded it. In front of 2 patrol cars and 3 witnesses? He stammers, criminals are clever. Amira smiles thinly. And so are liars, gasps. The judge raps the gavel. Counselor. My apologies, Your Honor. I'll rephrase. She steps closer. Officer Doyle, do you have any physical evidence that my client possessed a gun? No, but any fingerprints, residue, photo, footage? He hesitates. No, thank you. Amira returns to her seat. Layla's eyes never leave him. For the first time, the voiceover says, he felt the weight of silence heavier than handcuffs. The judge announces. Court adjourned until tomorrow. Doyle walks past Layla's table. Their eyes meet for a split second. He sneers, whispering, You think your fancy degrees will save you? She answers softly, No. My dashcam will. Cut to evidence locker. A small red light still blinking inside a sealed bag. He swore on an oath. She trusted a lens. One would break first. Morning light cuts across the marble hallway outside the courtroom. Layla walks in, flanked by her attorney Amira Blake, and a quiet storm of cameras. Every lens turns toward the woman in white. She doesn't smile, doesn't wave, just walks. Precise, deliberate, like someone who already knows how this will end. The loudest person in any courtroom, the voiceover murmurs, isn't the one who yells. It's the one who knows she's holding the truth. Inside, Doyle stands with his lawyer, whispering fast. He looks less composed today, eyes puffy, jaw tight. Fear has a smell, and it's starting to fill the room. The judge enters. Court is now in session. Officer Doyle, please return to the stand. In down 1044. In down that was second for. Amira doesn't rise yet. She waits as Doyle replays the same script, now more defensive, repeating. She reached for her waistband. Layla's gaze never breaks. Her pen moves again. Time code, phrasing, emotion. Every repetition adds another layer to his undoing. Lies, the voiceover says, are heavy. They need repetition to stand upright. Lies that smarkens off to. When the prosecution rests, Amira finally stands, calm, composed. Your Honor, the defense will present visual evidence. Doyle stiffens. The clerk rolls in a monitor. A technician sets up a laptop. The courtroom lights dim. Exhibit A, Amira says. The dashcam footage from Dr. Johnson's vehicle. The screen flickers alive. The inside of Layla's car, dashboard lit by sunlight. Audio, her voice, calm. Officer, my hands are on the wheel. Video. Both hands visible, steering straight. Then Doyle's patrol car appears behind her, blue lights flashing. He approaches, shadow growing in the frame. Audio. License and registration. Layla, may I ask why I was stopped? Doyle. Step out of the vehicle. He shifts suddenly, shouts, Gun. She's got a gun. Freeze frame. Silence. The only movement is that small red light in the corner of the dashcam, still blinking. Truth doesn't shout, the voiceover says. It just waits to be played. Amira turns to the jury. Do you see any gun? No one answers. Do you see any aggressive movement, any threat? The judge leans forward. Continue the video. Continue the video. The playback resumes. Two officers arrive, shouting. They pull Layla from the car, cuff her, push her against the hood. She never resists. End of footage. The monitor freezes on her face, calm even as the metal bites her wrists. When the lights rise, the room feels smaller. Doyle's breathing hard. He blurts out, That video's edited. Amira lifts a folder. Authenticated by the Federal Digital Evidence Bureau. Encryption verified with timestamp signatures, which, by the way, were engineered by Dr. Johnson herself. Gasps break out. A juror covers her mouth. Doyle's lawyer whispers, Don't say another word. Layla finally looks up, voice quiet but steady. You said you feared for your life, officer. The camera says otherwise. He wanted control, the voiceover concludes. But control belongs to whoever has the recording. Doyle's face drains of color. The judge clears his throat. We will reconvene after recess to verify the evidence chain. As everyone stands, Layla remains seated, fingers resting on the table. She doesn't smile. Just breathes. Evidence doesn't blink. The voiceover ends. It just waits for liars to run out of air. The recess feels like a storm trapped behind marble walls. Reporters rush outside, microphones raised. Headlines are already forming. Dashcam footage contradicts officer's testimony. She was that as a mama stand. Federal engineer accused of assault. Video tells different story. Inside, the jury murmurs among themselves. The prosecution team huddles, whispering damage control. Officer Doyle stands alone near the corner, hands clenched, jaw locked. For years, the voiceover says, his words built convictions. One video just tore them all down. Layla returns to her seat, still in the white suit, still immaculate. Amira sets a glass of water beside her. Nice work, not saying a word, the lawyer murmurs. Layla's eyes stay on Doyle. He's unraveling. Watch. The judge re-enters. Court is back in session. Amira rises. Your Honor, the defense moves to dismiss all charges on the basis of proven fabrication of evidence and false testimony. The prosecutor, pale, stammers, Your Honor. The state requests a full verification of the footage before any dismissal. Granted. The judge nods. But the court acknowledges the presented video directly contradicts sworn testimony. Doyle grips the railing, voice cracking. This is a setup. She's some kind of tech hacker. Officer Doyle. The judge snaps. You will control yourself. In over one. He used to own the room, the voiceover whispers. Now the room owns him. Amira steps forward. Let's make this simple, officer. On April 3rd, at 10:42 a.m., you shouted gun, correct? He hesitates. I believe she reached. Yes or no? And in 1-2, yes. Icon. And you filed your report at 11:27 a.m. The same morning, claiming a firearm threat? Yes. Are different. She lifts another document. But your department's internal log shows you submitted an evidence request for the Dashcam file at 11:11 a.m., 16 minutes before your own report. You already knew what the footage showed, didn't you? He freezes. The courtroom falls silent. The judge frowns. Is this accurate? Amira holds up the authenticated log. Timestamp verified by the same system Dr. Johnson helped develop for the Department of Justice. Gasps. Even the stenographer pauses typing. Layla's voice cuts through the noise, calm as a scalpel. You watched the footage, officer. You knew I never reached for anything. And you lied anyway. He stammers. I misinterpreted. Misinterpreted? Amira presses. Or fabricated. Doyle's lawyer stands, flustered. My client will not answer further without counsel. The judge pounds the gavel. Sit down, both of you. Wilder Sinini Wellbode. Every lie has a moment, the voiceover says, when it starts to suffocate its creator. The jury stares, unease shifting into quiet anger. Layla can feel it, the tide turning, inch by inch. The judge sighs. Court will reconvene tomorrow to review the chain of custody report. Until then, all parties are dismissed. As the crowd disperses, Doyle storms past Layla, muttering, You think you won? This isn't over. She doesn't look up. It never is. That's why we record. In the Racine de back. Cut to the evidence locker. The dashcam sealed inside a plastic bag. Red light still blinking faintly. Systems don't fall all at once, the voiceover ends. They tremble first right before they break. Morning. Day 3. The courtroom is packed beyond capacity now. Every bench filled, every eye fixed on the woman in white. Dr. Layla Johnson walks in like silence wearing purpose. The air around her hums. Half awe, half disbelief. Yesterday she was a defendant, the voiceover murmurs. Today, she's the story. The bailiff calls. All rise. The judge enters, grave-faced. Court will resume with the authentication hearing for Exhibit A, the dashcam video. A federal official steps forward. Agent Carter, Department of Justice, Digital Evidence Division. He places a briefcase on the table, opens it with 2 clicks. The video in question, Carter says, has been examined by our lab. Metadata confirms integrity. No edits, no compression errors. The encryption signature belongs to, he glances at Layla. Dr. Johnson herself. The courtroom murmurs. The judge lifts a brow. Dr. Johnson, is that accurate? Layla stands. Yes, Your Honor. I designed that system 5 years ago to prevent tampering in federal investigations. It's been licensed to multiple state departments, including Officer Doyle's. The prosecutor blinks. Wait, you built the dashcam system? Yes. And that's why this matters. In Once a Given, truth doesn't need drama, the voiceover says. It just needs credentials. Amira steps forward. Your Honor, we now request full disclosure of the footage chain of custody, along with the officer's internal correspondence. The judge nods. Approved. Carter opens a folder. According to South Haven PD's server logs, Officer Doyle accessed Dr. Johnson's Dashcam file the morning after the arrest and copied it to a personal device labeled training reference. That's a direct violation of evidence protocol. Gasps break out. Doyle's face drains of color. His attorney grips his arm. Don't respond. But he does. I was reviewing it for accuracy. Amira turns, eyes sharp. You reviewed footage that proved you lied, then swore under oath it never existed. Objection, the prosecutor cries. Sustained, the judge says quietly. But noted. Layla steps closer to the microphone, calm, deliberate. When he said he feared for his life, I believed him because he's been trained to. The problem isn't fear, Your Honor. It's ownership of truth. Some people think it's theirs to shape. I just make sure it's preserved. A juror wipes tears. The courtroom sits frozen. In a room built for judgment, the voiceover whispers, she didn't raise her voice. She raised the standard. The judge leans forward. Dr. Johnson, given your expertise, are you confident that the video is genuine and unaltered? I am, Your Honor. I personally verified its encryption hash before this hearing. Then the court accepts it as official evidence. The gavel strikes. Doyle slumps. Sweat glistens at his temple. His lawyer whispers, We'll negotiate. But Amira shakes her head. No negotiations, only truth. Layla turns to face Doyle. You took an oath. I wrote the code that makes sure oaths can't be rewritten. I-7. That's when power changed hands, the voiceover says. Not through shouting, but through silence and proof. The judge clears his throat. Given this revelation, the court will recess briefly before proceeding with cross-examination. Officer Doyle remains seated. Layla returns to her chair, unbuttoning her blazer just enough to breathe. The white fabric catches the light like armor. Reveals don't need vengeance, the voiceover ends. Just clarity and a camera that never blinks. And I had a pies acclaim. The judge's gavel echoes like thunder through the courtroom. All parties, be seated. Officer Mark Doyle sits hunched, hands clasped so tight, his knuckles bleach white. His lawyer leans in, whispering something desperate. But the microphones catch only one phrase. It's too late. Across from him, Dr. Layla Johnson adjusts her sleeve, revealing a faint bruise near her wrist, the same wrist his handcuffs once cut. Her eyes are steady, voice calm as she takes the stand. Amira steps forward. Dr. Johnson, please state your profession for the record. Layla's tone doesn't waver. Senior Forensic Engineer, Federal Evidence Division, Department of Justice, and your area of specialization, digital integrity. I ensure that data, once captured, cannot be altered without detection. The jury straightens in their seats. Even the judge looks newly attentive. Every lie leaves fingerprints, the voiceover murmurs. And she was trained to find them. Amira lifts a printed log. Dr. Johnson, do these records show that Officer Doyle accessed your Dashcam file after the arrest? Yes. At 10:42 p.m., on April 3rd, the system logged his device ID. And did he have authorization? In out of action. To get it American stunning. Amira turns to the jury. Then he viewed the footage before filing his report, confirming the absence of any weapon and still claimed there was one? Yes. Doyle slams his palm on the table. That's not true. I thought. Officer Doyle, the judge warns, you are under oath. In fact, at 7 with UI. The room stills. Fear used to shield him, the voiceover says. Now it's evidence against him. The prosecutor exhales, rubbing his temples. Your Honor, given these developments, the state withdraws from prosecution. We request immediate review of Officer Doyle's conduct. The judge nods grimly. Granted. He turns to the bailiff. Contact Internal Affairs. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Reporters scribble faster. Doyle's face collapses into disbelief. You're ruining my life over one mistake. Layla looks at him. Unflinching. No. You did that the moment you turned fear into fiction. Silence stretches. She wasn't angry, the voiceover notes. Anger would have made it personal, This was structural. The judge clears his throat. Officer Doyle, this court will forward all material evidence to the U.S. Attorney's Office for potential perjury and civil rights violations under Title 18. He stares ahead, hollow. The badge on his chest suddenly looks like a weight instead of armor. Court adjourns. Cameras flash. Reporters shout questions. Dr. Johnson, will you press charges? Do you feel vindicated? Layla pauses at the courthouse steps. Justice isn't about how I feel. It's about what the truth can prove. And that, the voiceover says, is how systems begin to tremble when emotion gives way to evidence. Islat of Mani, cut to a montage. News anchors reporting. Officer indicted for perjury and falsifying evidence. Police chief addressing press. We are cooperating fully. Citizens holding signs outside. Truth has no color. Layla watches from her office. The city lights reflected in the glass. Amira enters quietly. They're calling you a hero. She shakes her head. Heroes act on faith. I acted on proof. Fact on. Amira smiles. Proof might just save more people than faith ever could. N90. I met Joe. For the first time. The voiceover whispers. Her silence sounded like victory. Layla closes her laptop, gaze fixed on the skyline. Somewhere below, sirens wail someone else's story beginning. But tonight, the voiceover concludes, the badge that lied finally met the system it feared most, one built by the woman it tried to destroy. 3 months later, South Haven no longer pretends nothing happened. The courthouse steps that once echoed with accusation now host press conferences, protest signs, and quiet apologies spoken too late. Truth doesn't arrive alone, the voiceover says. It brings questions with it. Inside the police department, doors close more often than they open. Internal affairs officers move through hallways, with folders thick enough to bend wrists. One by one, case files are pulled from metal cabinets. Doyle, mark stamped in red across the tabs. An officer flips through a report, brow furrowing. This arrest doesn't match the footage. Indende, another answers quietly. Neither does this one. On local news, the anchor's tone has changed. Authorities confirm that at least 12 convictions tied to former officer Mark Doyle are under formal review. A second chyron follows. Federal oversight initiated. For years, the voiceover continues. His word had been enough. Now, it wasn't even credible. Izuernen, cut to a small apartment on the edge of town. Doyle sits at a bare kitchen table, badge gone, uniform replaced by a wrinkled t-shirt. The television flickers, sentenced to 4 years for perjury and civil rights violations. He mutes the sound. Stares at his hands. The same hands that once pointed in court now tremble in silence. Across the state, Dr. Layla Johnson stands in a very different room. A DOJ conference hall, clean lines. Glass walls. She wears the same white suit, not as armor anymore, but as authorship. She steps to the podium. This case was never about me, she says. It was about what happens when unchecked authority meets unquestioned belief. A reporter raises a hand. Dr. Johnson, do you feel vindicated? Layla pauses. Vindication is emotional. Accountability is structural. I'm here for the structure. She didn't want revenge. The voiceover notes. She wanted recurrence to be impossible. Thanks for watching. Behind her, a slide appears. The Truth Act proposed. Independent federal storage for all dashcam and bodycam footage. Automatic access for defense counsel. Tamper alerts sent in real time. Evidence should never belong to the person it can incriminate, Layla continues. That's how lies learn to survive. Applause fills the room, restrained, respectful, undeniable. Montage. New dashcams installed, each stamped federal verified. Officers in training rooms, watching footage frame by frame. Public defenders downloading evidence without filing motions. In South Haven, a man walks free from county jail. He blinks in the sunlight, clutching a folded paper. Conviction vacated. His sister cries into his shoulder. Some people got their names back, the voiceover says. Others got their time stolen, returned too late. Cut to Layla late at night, alone in her office. City lights glow beyond the window. She opens an email marked personal. Dr. Johnson, I never thought someone like you would fight for someone like me. Thank you for proving I wasn't crazy. She closes the laptop slowly. Exhales. Amira Blake steps in. They passed it, she says, unanimous. Layla nods, absorbing the weight of it. Good. Then the next person won't have to be me. That's how systems change. The voiceover concludes. Not when one person wins, but when the rules remember. If you want a Zaveri, Layla turns off the office lights. The reflection of her white suit lingers in the glass for a moment longer, then fades. 1 year later, the auditorium is silent before she speaks. Hundreds of students, lawyers, engineers, activists, all waiting. The banner behind the stage reads, Evidence. Accountability. Dignity. Dr. Layla Johnson steps forward in her white suit, the same color she wore when the world decided who she was before asking what was true. She rests her hands on the podium. Steady, grounded. This is where stories end, the voiceover says softly, and where consequences begin. Layla looks out at the crowd. I want to tell you what didn't save me, she begins. My education didn't save me. My job didn't save me. My calm didn't save me. A ripple moves through the room. What saved me, she continues, was documentation. Proof. A system that remembered what power wanted to forget. And describe high with pride. Behind her, the screen lights up. Footage of a dashboard camera, frozen on a single frame. Her hands on the wheel, palms open. That frame, the voiceover notes, changed more than one verdict. Layla steps aside as a list scrolls upward. 43 convictions reviewed. 19 overturned. 8 departments placed under federal oversight. She turns back. Justice isn't emotional. It's mechanical. It works when every piece does its job, including us. A student raises his hand. Dr. Johnson, do you hate him? Layla pauses. The room holds its breath. No, she says. Hate would have made this smaller. I needed it bigger than him. She never wanted a villain, the voiceover says. She wanted a lesson. After the speech, backstage hums with quiet reverence. Amira Blake hands Layla her phone. Your mom called. She said, tell my daughter the house finally feels lighter. Layla closes her eyes for a moment. When she opens them, they're wet but steady. Outside, the city moves like it always has. Sirens in the distance. Traffic lights blinking. Somewhere, another officer is filling out a report. Somewhere else, another camera is recording. The difference, the voiceover says, is that now the system is listening. Cut to a small courtroom in another town. A young public defender presses play on a dashcam video. A judge leans forward. A defendant exhales for the first time in months. Cut again. A classroom. A black girl watches Layla's lecture on a cracked tablet screen. She whispers, I want to build that. Back to Layla, standing alone at the edge of the stage after everyone has left. The lights dim. The room empties. She straightens her jacket, the white fabric catching the last glow. He weaponized a badge. The voiceover concludes. She weaponized proof. And proof doesn't need permission to exist. Layla walks off stage, not to applause this time, but to purpose. Text on screen. Justice isn't automatic. It's documented. Final CTA, soft, deliberate. If this story changed how you think about authority and evidence, share it. Comment below. Was this justice, or was it overdue? And subscribe. Because the next truth is already being recorded. Fade to black.